Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Auto Terraformacraft. Let's actually start by taking a look at what I did between the episodes. So I processed all of the copper and gold, for example, that was stored at the cobble generator. So take a look at this chest here. We've got a whole toolbox now that is filled with copper blocks. That's about 1,000 and then some. And here we got the gold sheets, a whole toolbox filled with gold sheets. Not entirely sure what to do with it. I guess making toolboxes eventually. It's a bit tacky to have gold sheets placed on the walls. Not entirely sure. I guess there will be a use. I just couldn't get myself to just throw away the gold that we produce, and the chest was overflowing, so I had to do something with it. Yeah, then this point there are actually no ores left in the chest. They've all been processed, completely out of iron ore again. A little bit of copper is still in there. Those toolboxes are empty. Okay, then also ran the train track maker again. Used up the rest of the iron pretty much. So we got 3,200 train tracks stored now in the vault, and I got a 2,000 additional ones in double chests. So yeah, the plan for today was actually to continue building there. There's actually a lot of building materials available now. And currently I'm making ingot molds again. I had 2,500, but processing all of the copper, gold, then the iron was actually down to 200 again. Always need a lot of those. I kind of wish at this point I would have had a dedicated cobble generator just for making clay. So we wouldn't need to switch in between making clay and the other stuff. But can always go larger later. I also made a bit more progress building, so the house is always work in progress. But we got a proper floor in now here at the top for the blast furnace input. Now that we don't have skylight access anymore, it's a bit dark here. Those are actually my last 3 everlasting torches. So we gotta do something about getting more glowstone powder again. Right now, I guess the easiest would be to go to a limestone or claystone biome with the quarry, mine some of that and break it down with the crushing wheels. But in the long run, we can also make it renewably, but it's quite a lot of effort. Okay. So here we also got walls and holes for the windows. Don't have the fancy glass anymore yet. Similar story here with the bituminous coal. I'm completely out of coke powder, so it's also the last of my bituminous coal I can make. I guess the best right now is also going to the andesite biome, mining some of the stone and break it down to get more coke powder. Long run we can also automate that, but it's quite some effort actually. We need to basically make 3 different types of stone using the dirt mechanic. Quite some effort. But apart from that, here we got walls in. I guess I can actually put the roof on top as well now. I don't think I would need another floor on top of that. There's some extra space, we're not sure for what yet, but in case we need something smaller, here would definitely be room for it. Maybe some assembly line to make precision mechanism, something like that. Could imagine we could have it up here. Okay, then that's not all of it. Also, actually started making some progress on the private area. Well, of course, it's not done yet. There's still a lot of room for like furniture and other stuff, but at least we got a proper bed. Those are the bookshelves. You can make out of Douglas fir or any other of the tree types. My armor stand with the old wrought iron armor, proper bed, and carpet. Carpet is actually so expensive in this, but yeah. Bit of progress, banana plant. Then also got a bathroom. It's not quite large, but it's something. So got a sink. Can drink out of. It's actually quite good. And got the hot spring water jacuzzi. Okay, here also some everlasting candles. Okay, so bit progress was made. Yeah, still got a lot of room to fill. Also, quick update on the banana plants. So some of them are now 5 blocks tall, like this one here, and base a bit wider up to the 3rd block. Yeah, and some of them have green bananas now on top, the smaller ones again. It's not entirely sure what's happening with this one here. Never grew higher than 1 block tall. Maybe it's because next to the tree here, they're a bit close to each other. Maybe that's the issue. But kinda looks good. We just need yellow bananas now. October's supposed to be the season. Definitely gonna check on it. Alright, let's continue building the train track, shall we? So I'm gonna take all of the train tracks I have, put them into toolboxes. And I already have the toolboxes here for the andesite brick. Which just fit in there, about 1,000. Okay, then I need about 5 toolboxes for all the train tracks. I could imagine that it also might be useful to bring the mining machine, so I'm gonna assemble it and take it with me. Inventory space will be quite limited. So many toolboxes actually, so got another one to put all of this in. Okay, here we are. That's how far I've got the last time. I already got a couple 100 meters in. It's mostly flat here and continues to be flat. Although it says it's a hills biome, but I think there's actually plains ahead. This is the first little hill that I had to dig away just to keep it straight. About 1400 meters done now, so here we actually have a lowlands biome. That's what I'd like to see. It's always those areas here on the map that patchy green and brown, those are relatively flat. Let's actually take a look ahead. Here they've got a forest on top, so we gotta chop a couple trees, but it's also still really flat. Only here begins to be a bit more mountainous, but not too bad. So I guess we can keep going straight. Lake here. I guess the mesa biome in like 4,000 blocks will be the first big obstacle. I should have done this earlier. Chopping trees is actually really useful. It was always low in logs. 2,500 meters done, and I just got through the first rougher area. There was a low canyons biome and a lot of trees around I had to chop, but finally made it. Look ahead. Yeah, probably also best if I bridge above this. Getting low not on train tracks, on andesite bricks, so the support blocks below. Probably can go for another 5 to 1,000 meters depending on the terrain, and then I have to actually get back. Alright, good progress. Almost 4,000 blocks, but I ran completely out of andesite bricks. Now I actually chopped a lot of logs. You could craft planks out of those, but I kind of don't want to use planks for the blocks below because those could potentially burn down. So I'm going to go stone instead. We could, of course, get the quarry now, dig up some stone, but I would need mortar again, which takes some time. So it's probably best if we head home. Then I can also check on the bananas. Alright, it's actually a lot to walk now. Well, great. So it's gone for pretty much exactly 1 month. September 5th until October 5th, and the bananas are already gone. Are they maybe yellow for a single day? This is actually so hard. Okay, so next year I'll be around mid-September to mid-October. Let's check what happens there. So I took care of a couple more things at home. I moved some of the cows and harvested all of the apples, made cider and vinegar, and took all of the andesite cobble I had left over and made andesite bricks out of it. That's really the rest. I had 2 more toolboxes, and we have this many train tracks left. So roughly 2,200 or so. Okay, then let's head over and place the rest real quick, although it actually takes a long time to make any progress there. I was out for a whole Terraformacraft months earlier without sleeping. I don't think I'm gonna do it this way again if I, for example, make a train track towards Robo's place, or if you do the big train track from Z minus 20k to 20k. There would definitely make some sort of a tunnel bore machine. We decide on a Y value and then have automatic drills in front and just stay at the same Y value and just drill through the terrain. Just need to stick to a certain Y value, like, I don't know, 80 or so. Then if there's a mountain, we just drill through it, or if there's an ocean, we go above or below. It's also an option just to have an underground train. It's definitely in the long run easier. But I kind of like the charm here of actually having the train tracks on the same level as the terrain and follow it. And I thought for 8,000 blocks, although it's quite a lot of work, it's doable. But yeah, I don't want to do this for the next couple months and nothing else. But it's kind of fun. What's not really fun is right now, gotta... What? I had no idea that's a thing. Roadkill, okay. Poor hawk. Robot knows it as well. Yeah, I was about to say what's actually not fun right now. I had a bit of rubber banding when I was riding the train earlier. And actually blamed Robo for being online as well, maybe loading some chunks, but now it's actually going really smooth. It's actually going better than expected. A bit choppy here and there. I'm actually about to upgrade the server and also assign more server RAM. So it should be even better in the future, but already right now I can't complain too much. Should we maybe just follow it? I think we already got half the distance. It's actually quite a fun train ride. There was also a pack of wolves that was running around the train tracks. See if we can get another roadkill. Okay, here this was basically the hardest part, going through the forest, and it was definitely some hilly terrain to chop a lot of trees. But I think it's actually quite a lot of fun. Hope it's not too dark, should have maybe done the train ride at day. Yeah, here we got through the worst. Here it's a bit flatter again, but it's almost the end already. That's almost 4 kilometers worth of train track. So just a couple 100 meters. I think there's a bit hilly again in front. Here's super flat, then already stops. Yeah, here we can see the mountains. Could maybe also increase the distant horizon, render distance a little bit. Oh, there we had some rubber banding. There we go. Got this far now. It's about half the distance. Nice. I'm a couple 100 blocks further ahead now. There's a big mountain on the left, and we got the mesa biome ahead now. I think that was actually the easy half of laying the train tracks. Now we just got really rough terrain ahead. I mean, there's also a topography map. Here was actually really even. There was no problem at all. But the terrain ahead, is really difficult. I briefly thought about going around the mesa maybe, but if I go south, well, then there's forest. I have to chop trees on top. If I go north, then even taller mountains. Guess going straight it is. Yeah, if you look at the topography, it's changing all the time. So if you would go south here a little bit, it would help a bit, but not really worth the detour. We just go straight. Yeah, it's gonna be really rough terrain, all the rest almost. Here, this is another mesa biome. Until we finally reach the big lake. Yeah, it's this one here. Okay, so the plan actually at the big lake would be to have some sort of a farming area where I have like some dedicated farmland just to make beer or something like that. So that would be the plan, to have some nice buildings here that I visit maybe once a year, so twice, to plant seeds and then to harvest again. Okay, but let's continue a little bit. I mean, I can always just bridge over it. Still got a couple building blocks, maybe can go a couple 100 more meters and then we have to turn around. Alright, so I made really good progress, 5,000 meters away from home, but now I completely ran out of andesite bricks. In terms of train tracks, got maybe 300 there, that's another 500. Yeah, I got a couple 100 left, but also not enough to go all the way. Guess I've done actually a lot of work here. What's the time? Yeah, already late November, time to head back. Alright, so it took quite a while, but I made it home. Now we can do this Quern automation I've been talking about. So I think it's gonna be something similar like we did with the height scraping machine. We just need deployers to click at the right pixel again. So it's basically a 3-step process. We need one deployer activating the middle, so putting the item in. Then maybe the same deployer or a different one activating the handstone. And then a third deployer picking up the stuff on the side. I wonder, is it okay just to click on the side anywhere? Yeah. And again, I mentioned this in a previous episode, there is a point doing this, not just put it in the millstone or the crushing wheels. For certain recipes, actually the only one I found so far was the amethyst powder. So if you look at this, doing the press again, no, this one here. So if we put it in a crushing wheel, then we get 1 amethyst powder. And if I use the quern, we get 4. So that's why I want to automate this. So this is definitely something that calls for creative mode because lots of testing will be required. And it's also nice to have the creative motor. Oh, okay, so this step is already pretty easy. We just need a deployer from the side to put the item in. Okay. Now we need to hit this handle. And this is actually super precise. With the height, there was actually, 16 different pixels. But this almost seems like, oh my god, this is like super precise. Actually, this might be a little bit deceiving. I definitely remember it from 1.7 Terraformacraft. You had to click on that little knob there. But it seems like just clicking at the handstone is also enough. Okay, that seems a lot easier. So just the deployer from on top doesn't do that trick. Just picks up, yeah, the M-assist. I was hoping it maybe a piston pushing in, a deployer from the side. The right speed could maybe give the deployer a little bit of offset. Then maybe get it in the right spot. But I tried with all kinds of speeds. It doesn't look like that's the solution as well. Okay, that's here, by the way, the sequence gear shift. So one of those advanced things we can make now that we have sandpaper and all of the other stuff. Yeah, remember the cow barn door we had there with the redstone wiring? This all could have been completely replaced just with the sequence gear shift. You can have all kinds of instructions. So if it's getting powered, then here we tell this piston to move one forward, then move one back. You can also adjust this by meters. And you could turn by angle. In case of the cow barn door, you could tell it to turn by 90 degrees. Then you can also do, for example, await new redstone pulse. Then it waits a certain amount of time, or give it a delay. So you can have all kinds of instructions there and completely remove a lot of redstone wiring. So here, I use it for the piston. 1 meter forward and 1 meter back. There we go. Also tried with 2 meters. It might have been different, but just doesn't hit it really. Okay, then we have to try something different. Just simply turning it also doesn't work. Okay, then I guess we're just gonna have the windmill bearing one to the right. Glue this together and flip it around. Also doesn't work. Maybe we need to attach the deployers in a different position. Nope, not working either. Just trying to go larger, try to brute force it and hope that it works somewhere also didn't work. I have the suspicion right now that we might not be aiming at the right height even. It's a bit higher up at the block. Maybe that's the problem. So maybe if we actually have a bearing on the side and spin it differently, could imagine that could work. Okay, let's see. Still not, maybe not the right speed. Gotta go. Oh! Yeah! It does work! Okay, I got a working approach now. Of course, we're gonna use the sequence gear shift for everything. So you can also tell the deployer, like a piston, to extend per meter and then retract per meter. Makes sense, because you also need a piston extension pole for the crafting recipe. Okay, so that's what we do first. I'm gonna give the deployer an M assist. Then we trigger this, places it. There we go. And then we tell the mechanical bearing here to rotate by 360 degrees. Okay. And it activates it. And here the actual rotation speed is important. It works at 16 RPM. 32, 64, any faster, it didn't work. Okay, then we got the output right here. Just trigger this again. So we should pick this up. But no, it didn't work. Okay, that's a bit surprising now. Deployer does not pick up the stuff. So what we can actually do is to rotate the deployer again at a different speed. So we need 16 RPM to trigger this. And if I set it to 64, then we pick up the powder. Okay, maybe there's a better solution for this. This is actually a really nice solution here. If you set the RPM to 12, then the deployer will activate the millstone, and then just before we end the full rotation, we'll also pick up the stuff. There we go. So we could maybe actually try to completely remove all of the sequence gear shifts. Use this deployer to put in the stuff. And this just spins all the time if you turn it on. Let's see if that does work. That's unfortunate. It seems like we just don't have the right timings to do this continuously. So the first batch is processed correctly, but then it fails to trigger it again. Yeah, so we probably need to always stop it after one full rotation, have it at default position, and then give it one spin. Back in survival, found a okay spot, I guess, for the setup. I squeezed it here on the first floor next to the top part of the height scraper. So we already have some shafts running. I think that's actually a good spot. With the context of the house, maybe it doesn't look too great, but it could put in like a dividing wall here again and only make maybe this part accessible and hide the other stuff away. I think that would be okay-ish. Alright, so I actually went for a 2 deployer version because it's just more convenient for the input. So if it would technically be possible to use a single deployer, I feel like it gets even more complicated then. So the 2 deployer version it is. There's just one small issue. The deployer here on the side shouldn't really run all the time, because at some point the hand is empty again, or like on the last batch, could happen that he actually grabs the powder before this one can. So that's why I actually went to this solution now here. So I put in the amethyst here on top. One trickles through the deployer, then the content observer detects that, and we lock the hopper. So here by if this redstone dust, if you follow it, you lock the hopper immediately, so the deployer only has a single item. Then here's a sequence gear shift. I still just set this up. I'm gonna tell it to turn the piston forward. Tested this in creative already. We actually have to tell it twice to actually return, because it's a bit broken, I feel like. But by doing this, at least it was reliable in creative. Okay, so that would be the first sequence. We place the amethyst on top of the Quern. And then next thing is we have a rotation speed controller here in the back, set it to 12 RPM. And we're gonna do a full turn, 360 degrees. Activate the Quern, and then the end of the rotation, we pick up the powder, and it's ejected with the funnel in this chest, so you can pick it up again. Okay, then basically, so this content observer turns on for a short moment when the deployer has an item, and then turns off again because we placed the item, but we need to keep the hopper powered for longer. So I'm actually using a new component, a powered toggle latch. So this is basically like a T flip-flop from vanilla redstone, but it actually keeps powering. So you could compare it to, for example, an observer powering a sticky piston with a redstone block in front. So if you give a short pulse on the toggle latch here, then it keeps powering until you give another pulse. So that's why we got a repeater here. 6-second delay, and then I need a second observer, otherwise the signals would interfere with each other. And I just took this up now with some dust here. The same power latch, or powered toggle latch. Okay, I just need to get more dust, and then the setup should be basically complete. Alright, so let's try this with a single amethyst first. It's already different from creative, it didn't trigger it. Oh, I forgot something. Oh yeah, true. You need to add a bit of delay. You can actually do this right here. Time delay. Let's do 12 ticks. And then turn by 360 degrees. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna grab this one again. Try this once more. There we go. That should pick it up. There we go, amethyst powder. Let's try it maybe 4. Because this setup here with the deployer is a bit weird, it doesn't really work properly. It doesn't return to the default position, or it does the same every time for some reason. Yeah, it kinda works. When I added the second return for the piston, it kinda fixed it in creative, so I'm not sure there's a better way to do this. Okay, looks good. Let's put the rest in. Here's the amethyst powder coming. And there's actually one more thing we might need to do, but I don't think it's really necessary. The handstone here actually on top has some durability. There's like 250 uses, and then we need to replace it with a new handstone. Because I don't think we're gonna use this Quern actually that often, I decided to not automate this. But what we what basically need to do is to have a drill or something, break the entire quern. Then we need to place the bottom of the quern again, and we need to place a new handstone again. And somehow we need a detection if it breaks. But since, well, this would add a lot of extra complexity, we also need to make sure that the machine isn't triggered when this actually happens. I don't think I'm gonna push it this far. Because 250 uses, I mean, I have like 40 aim assist. Don't think we can get there. But pretty neat. Now we can automate the quern. Alright, now we can finally make some tinted glass. 16. It's really expensive. So got a couple more left over. And a bit of powder. It's not a lot, but in case we have some sort of mob farm, it would be nice. I'll definitely use the tinted glass for something. There's one more thing I need to do today, fix the blast furnace setup. It works fine, but it has some chunk loading issues. It happened twice now that I actually came back and there was stuff in the blast furnace. I'm pretty sure this is caused by the redstone links and just chunks loading in an unfortunate order. So we got those redstone links here attached here on the side of the smart chutes, which lock them. But if I'm coming from this direction, I load this chunk here first, and then those redstone links basically don't get the signal from 2 chunks over that tells them to be powered. So I guess a simple fix would be to change filter number would be to just have the inversion of the signal being done on this side. So if I just would place a torch here, lock this, and have the redstone link here on top, it should work. And while I'm at it, I can also improve the wiring. So we needed a system that activates the charcoal dropping every 5th time we drop in iron and flux. And it had to be a system that can be reset. So in case we start up the system, on the first time we put in iron and flux, we also had to drop in coal. So we had this resettable counter with the pistons, the count to 5. I just used this because that's something I knew and was short on time and just needed something that works. So I went with the vanilla solution. But now I actually had a bit of time while going for a walk to think about this. Kind of bothered me that I didn't find a better solution right away. But yeah, there are actually great mod redstone components that should make this a lot easier. So I'm just gonna get rid of some of the stuff here. Don't need it anymore. So the way I would approach this now is to use a dropper that has 5 non-stackable items in it. There you go, dropper. And shoots it over to a hopper that is attached here. Just need to clean up my inventory real quick. Okay, so puts it into a hopper. There we go. I guess the vessel is a non-stackable item. Definitely would assume so. So here on the side we also have a stockpile switch. That, yeah, okay, it's non-stackable. So in case we exceed 50%, basically we go from 4 to 5 items, we lock this hopper here. I guess I can just do it repeater. I had one there. Lock and dust. There we go. Lock the repeater here. So now if I send a signal, it would send a vessel over. I do have a torch. And it stays in there. Until we actually go down to 0 and then we turn off the signal here. And then all of the vessels are sent back to the dropper until we hit 5 again. And then we lock the dropper again. So yeah, on the first activation, you would just have a comparator now here on the side of the hopper and send the signal to drop stuff. Okay, and then a resettable part is, if you run out of any components we need, you just push this block down. And this would also then unpower the hopper and all the items are sent back in there. So that would be a way more compact system. Some create mod components. Yeah, I just actually need the time to think about stuff. If I'm hurried, then I just use what I know. Okay, there we go. This wiring is definitely way more compact and should work the same. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.